Hello and welcome back. You're listening to Family Planet365 on AM 1220 KHTS. I'm your host, Malena Jackson, and today's show is brought to you by the Nanny Factory. Our next guest is Shannon Hall. We are talking about living life by comparison, and does social media make you feel like everyone else's life is better than yours? If so, chances are you're not alone, because I feel that way sometimes too, but I'm learning to cope, and that's why we're talking about it today. But it's time to break the dilemma. I have my second guest here, and he's going to help shed light on addiction and ways to break free from the behavior. Shannon Hall is actually from A Light of Hope Support Center here in Santa Clarita. A Light of Hope is a nonprofit organization that offers individual and group support to overcome destructive behaviors. Shannon Hall serves as a certified addiction treatment counselor intern, and he is here to share his insight on the signs of destructive behavior. Welcome, Shannon. Hello. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. So, Shannon, tell me, what do you do at A Light of Hope?
I am a counselor, and we cater to youth between 14 and 26-year-olds and their families.
Okay.
Yeah, so we have a family program too.
Okay. And so, Shannon, what are signs of addiction? Like, we talk about that, and I know people think social media, you can't be addicted to that. When you think of addiction, you think of drugs, alcohol, really destructive behavior, maybe cutting. But social media can actually be, for me, I think it's an addiction. Like, it's something you really have to control and manage, or it can take over your life. So what are some signs of addiction?
Well, the signs of addiction, for me, the root of it is obsession and compulsion.
Oh.
It's obsession. My understanding of it is that I think about it all the time. It's all constantly in my thoughts. I'm waiting for that next time I get it. And then once I do get it, compulsion is that I don't want to stop. I want to keep going and keep going regardless of whatever I have to do or what consequences I'm suffering. It doesn't matter. I keep going. So that's the root of addiction.
Oh, so those are like the signs to know if you're addicted to anything, I guess.
Yes, and it can be anything that makes us feel different, makes us feel something that we're not feeling.
Okay, so like feeling, it's actually feeling, FILLING, avoid, like feeling avoid.
Yeah, it can be, yes. Yeah, or change your feelings. Make you feel happy if you're sad. Make you, because every time we feel good, we get this little thing called dopamine that releases in our brains, and it makes us feel good. So we want to go back and get that feel good again.
But how can you, I guess, so is it correct for me to say if you're going to social media, like using Facebook, and perhaps it's causing you not to feel so good, is that like a twisted version of addiction?
And that's different for a lot of people. I think part of it is how you feel about yourself. Mm-hmm. Low self-esteem and low self-worth. Sometimes it can create some self-worth in you to look at me, I'm doing well and want to share it, or it can create the opposite effect of low self-esteem by what you were talking about earlier is comparison. When you compare yourself to somebody, and you find yourself coming up short, well, that hits your self-worth and your self-esteem.
Okay. And I can see now when you were talking, I was thinking about how, you can go on social media and sometimes you don't feel so great, so hot when you get off, but when you have a picture and someone likes it, like you get a bunch of likes, it does help you feel good. It helps me feel good. And I've actually, to help with my somewhat, I guess I would say the addiction or depression of it all, I've on purpose made my profile where it's not, everyone doesn't see it. So now when I post something, I'll get like 1 like versus the 3 likes I used to get. Mm-hmm. So now I'm like, it's okay, Malena. Like, you can go on with your life. It's okay. Even with, the Twitter followers, it's amazing because Twitter is kind of like the stock market. 1 minute you're up, the next you're down. I'll go to bed with, say, 690 followers, and I'll wake up and I'll have 672. And I'm like, where did those people go? And now I've learned to just go with it. Like, it's okay.
And what's your feeling about that when that happens?
Yeah, I've just learned that I talk to myself. It's like, okay, this isn't the end, and there are more people out there, and you'll find your way through it. And because one of the things about social media is, especially on like the Twitter platforms and Instagram, now I've noticed they'll follow you and you're like, oh my gosh, like this used to be me. Somebody will follow me and I'll follow you back, whether I'm interested or not. I just wanted to, like, you know, is that quid pro quo or reciprocate? I wanted to reciprocate. And then I noticed, Shannon, they'll unfollow me. Like, I know this is some insanity going on right here because I actually take the time to do the research, but they'll unfollow me. So they follow me to get the follow. Then I followed them, and then they unfollowed me. So I was like, you know what? Okay. So I coached myself through this. I was like, I will not like someone or follow them just because they follow me. If I'm not interested, I'm not interested. If you follow me, great. But I'm not going to follow you just because you follow me. And so that helps me when the numbers go down overnight to be okay with, sorry about that, I was away from the mic. That helps me be okay with the fact that my numbers plummet when I'm sleeping. So it is about, how do you feel about yourself? I think that's the key.
And validation.
Who do we get the validation from?
We get from media. These Facebooks and likes, it's external validation of, hey, look at me, I am good enough, people like me. And that can become very, very addicting because that triggers a feel good about yourself, and you're relying on external reasons to feel good about yourself, not internal. So that's where the kind of compulsion comes from. Oh, I got to get on this. And then you can't stop because you need to be liked. You need that feel good. And that becomes, first I believe it becomes abuse. Okay. More than, because addiction is very much a line that you cross, especially in substance or gambling or sex addiction, where it becomes something that you're not going to get past. It becomes uncurable. However, abuse, you could have some consequences from it, and negative consequences, and it can make your life unmanageable in certain ways. You're spending so much time, you're not taking care of your kids. Mm-hmm. You don't want to go out and exercise, you don't want to go to work, or you're looking forward to that next time you can get on. Okay, that can become some abuse. You're abusing it. There's not a balance there. But when you're willing to sacrifice everything for it, and regardless of the consequences, well, that starts coming into more of an addiction, where it's like the Grand Canyon. It was formed by water millions of years ago, but now it's a Grand Canyon, and it's a path, well-worn path. Same in our brains. Each time we do something, it wears a path, and then we don't even think about it, and we're stuck in that path of that's how we do things. But it can be changed.
Now, how do you change it? That was my next question. Can we do it ourselves?
We create new paths. It's like for an addict, part of a substance abuser, part of the addiction is people we hang with, the people we use with, people, we get it from. That becomes part of the pattern. So that's one way you have to change, is not to hang around with the people that you use with. You have to change your company.
And for me, that was not going on Facebook as often as I did. Yeah. And it's like, some people want to say, well, I'm in control over it, so I'm just going to limit it. Okay, that's what I do.
Like somebody that drinks a little bit too much, I'm going to limit it. Okay, I'm going to have one drink a week. Okay. They might go a week or two. However, that one next time they want to drink, I'm just going to have two. So they compromise, and that starts it. And that's where the obsession, because obsession is very much trying to convince us to get that fix, whatever that fix is.
Obsession. Okay. So basically to cure or to change the behavior of addiction, you need to change the path. Now, it's easier said than done, I suppose. But what advice would you give to someone who might be using social media or might be depressed, or just say they're depressed? Because, you know, this is a social media age, and everyone does seem to be doing really well on Facebook and all these platforms. What advice would you give to someone who might be facing that depression because of social media?
Well, like your last guest was talking about depression, it's, there's a depression as in a disorder, and there's depression, which I believe a lot of people are sad, and they call it depressed. They're gloomy, and they don't feel good about themselves. And he talked about loss, too. Okay. And that is something that when we are seeking external stuff and we're not seeking internal rewards, I do things for myself that make me feel good. That's more important than external stuff from other people and places and things. Then when that goes away and that's not doing it for you no more, you do get a loss from that. And I believe that does create sadness and gloominess, which, not a clinical sign of depression, but kind of a depression. Uh-huh. And I believe it's not an easy answer, and everybody's different, but I think you have to look internally and start building your self-esteem and do esteemable things. And
that's internal things, like doing things for yourself to make you happy, not depending or relying on external.
Yes.
That's kind of like a quote I read a few weeks ago about you'll have happiness when it comes from you, or you'll experience happiness when it's coming from you.
And joy and peace and serenity, all those things come from inside.
From inside. Yeah. Wow. That's something I don't think a lot of people know, because there are so many things out there externally that are, set up to make us feel good.
Yes.
When all along it comes from inside, internally. We have that power. Mm-hmm. I love that.
It's like for a woman that likes to shop or dress, or even a man goes out shopping, they buy new clothes and they feel good for a minute, but then in a couple days, that piece of clothing is in the closet. It doesn't have that same effect on them. So then they're looking for the next thing. Next thing to make them feel that. Where if it's internal, you feel good and about yourself, and that's just some that you like, and it's not everything to your self-esteem, then it matters more. Wow. And it means more.
And it lasts longer.
And it lasts longer, yeah.
Okay, I like that. All right. Well, thank you so much, Shannon. Are there any last words? How can we reach you if the listener wants to talk or set up an appointment? You're at A Light of Hope.
Light of Hope.
You're in New Hall.
In New Hall, and we do have a website at A Light of Hope.
alightofhope.com? Or?
Yes.
Okay.
I believe.
Okay, try A Light of Hope. I think it's alightofhope.org. Or .com.
It might be.
I know.
Yeah.
that was there, but I can't remember.
I should know my own website. Huh?
Yeah, but you could just Google A Light of Hope in New Hall and find that. Yes. And today's guest is Shannon Hall.
And we are, a program based on youth and families.
Got it.
You're dealing with anything from depression, cutting, substance abuse,
I do have a question for you. How, in working in that industry, and this is kind of a left turn, but how do you cope? Like, so you're a counselor and you're dealing with crazies all the time.
No, I don't call them crazies. Yeah.
Sorry. But no, seriously, I always wonder about counselors. Like, you are actually in the throes of, helping someone else manage their life. How do you manage your life?
I have my own program of recovery.
You do? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yes.
So the coach has a coach?
Yes.
Got it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I highly recommend that, yeah.
Yeah, I have my own program, and I am a recovering addict.
Wow.
And
And how long have you been recovered now?
For about 8 years now.
Nice. Congratulations. What's the one thing that you think has been the key to your recovery?
Higher power.
Higher power. Wow.
Yeah.
I love that.
And there's a lot to it, but surrender is that I gave up the fight. I gave up thinking I can control this, and that I was more powerful than the substance. And I wasn't.
Okay.
And it showed.
Surrender to the higher power.
And I had to surrender to the idea that I was in control.
Okay. That you are?
That I was in control of it.
Okay.
That I was an addict. And I had to surrender to the fact, the acceptance that I am an addict. And that, for me, doesn't mean just alcohol or this or that. It can mean anything that I use to make me feel different. So my program of recovery is based on my feelings, how I feel about myself. The shame, the guilt, the trauma, everything that I have to deal with that's inside of me on a daily basis. And that's, I wouldn't say I'm nowhere near cured. I don't believe there is a cure, but there is a program that arrests our disease and can turn down the volume on the obsession and the compulsion. And I believe that my higher power is very much the biggest part of that. Yeah.
Wow. Good for you. I love that. Thank you for sharing your story, and thank you for giving us insight. It's been really such a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shannon Hall. All right, so we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, I'll share my last thoughts about today's topic, and I'll give you a sneak peek on what's coming up next week. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome back. You're listening to Family Planet 365 on AM 1220 KHTS. I'm your host, Malena Jackson, and it is my hope that today's show sheds some light on what may be the cause of what's ailing you. Perhaps it's time to tame your social media habit. After talking to today's experts, Dr. Reynolds and Shannon Hall, I kind of think that, I wouldn't go as far to say that social media might be an addiction. However, after talking to Shannon Hall, our next guest, I can say that he gave us some good insight on what addiction looks like. And it's basically if you're looking for external gratification versus internal, then perhaps you are addicted to whatever it is that you spend most of your time doing, and it's external. And I like that. Like I talked earlier, it's time to chill on the selfies. I love selfies, and I love all things social media. I think it's a way of life. But I think it's important that we stay tuned and stay in tune to who we are, especially as moms and parents. And when your child is at the playground, it's okay to have your phone in hand, but perhaps put the phone down and just be in the moment, because these kids are not going to stay little ones for long or forever. And even as teenagers, it might be a troubling time, or it could be challenging, but just to be in the moment, I think that will help cure a lot of the issues that we might be facing in our families, or being unhappy, or with our children, or our the way our home life is set up, or even feeling like you have to be on Facebook and post pictures and see how many likes. I'll never forget, recently I had a friend whose husband actually got on Facebook and was like, hey, I'll call her Wendy. Wendy doesn't get that many likes on her photos, so if you guys could just like it, I want to get her to 120 likes today. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, that changed my whole view on where are we in our heads? Like, really? How is it that important that you have to pitch to her friends to like her photo so she can have 120 likes? Oh my gosh, please, people. I shouldn't say people, but please, if you're listening to this, let's take a stand on getting our lives back. Let's realize that there's more to life than likes. There's more to life than followers. It's all fun. It's great. But I would say just as much as you share the good times, be sure to share some of the not so good times. Like, balance it, because someone out there is watching, and it might be a mom who might feel like, oh, her husband is perfect, or it might be a dad who's like, his wife is perfect and my marriage sucks. And that's not the case. I think you should balance it. Balance everything. Balance, how much you post, and balance what you post, because that's the key to life. Like, just be real, because it's so much smoke and mirrors and everybody's so perfect. And I think it was Dr. Reynolds who said about the YouTube video, you might have to go back and listen because I can't remember what the name of it was, but it's like, what people are posting on Facebook versus what's really going on in their lives. And I actually saw someone post this was so funny. It was like, there was this meme. A meme is like when there's a picture and then people write a word over the meme, and it's like, this person's posting this on Facebook, but they don't know I know them in real life. And it really gave me perspective. I'm like, wow, that's something to think about, because while you're talking about this and that, people really know who you really are, like in real life. So just make sure it's not all a facade. So that's my take on, living life by comparison and taming your social media addiction. Just be in the moment and put the iPhone away. You don't have to post every little tidbit about your life every 5 seconds of the day. I think if you're posting more than twice a day, then it's a problem. Okay, so anyway, that's my take. Be sure to join me next Friday when we'll explore the top family travel secrets. It'll be a little lighter next week. It's just in time for the holiday season. Some of you might be traveling, whether you're traveling with children under 5 or over 10. You'll want to hear from our travel expert about the best steps to take to ensure a smooth journey. That's next Friday. Thank you for listening to Family Planet 365 on AM 1220 KHTS, brought to you by the Nanny Factory. I'm your host, Malena Jackson. Bye for now.